I think I have a pretty good idea on what the secret rares are for UFO. I mean, secret rares? Hello everyone, welcome back to Cryptid Nation News, and today we're here to talk about the MetaZoo news updates from July 23rd until July 30th. We got an update on the Smokey Bear blister packs this week that are going to be arriving in Target stores soon. They were supposed to be arriving the end of last week. I have not seen any reports of these actually showing up in stores yet, and I was not able to find any in my local stores. So if you have seen them or if you have them in hand, please let me know in the comments below. We got a look at a UFO Pin Club pack this week. There's a white stag poking out the top of the pack here, and the caption on this announcement was, "What could this be?" I think that the announcement isn't referencing the white stag, but the card behind it. It's a white card, and you can see a UFO U on part of the card there. Could we start seeing secret cards in UFO Pin Club? We're gonna find out soon. UFO Pin Club ships in the middle of August. I was able to pick up a couple of the NFT boxes for these as well, which are gonna have a special design to them, and I can't wait to find out what that's gonna look like. MetaZoo shipped out 350 LGS kits last week. Each LGS kit comes with a series of mats. There's the one that we've seen in art before with Headless Horseman, Awful, and Sky Snake. There's a Snipe mat, a Wendigo mat, a Wilderness mat. There's a really cool Spirit mat with Walking Salmon Night Marchers. Each LGS kit came with one exclusive sticker and one exclusive promo. At my LGS, we got a White Screamer promo. And the LGS kits also came with Unicorn, Lake Chelon Monster, and Loveland Frogman window clings, as well as a couple standees for the store. Included in that box was also a number of Wilderness products as well as CN2 products, and these products can be used as prize support for the tournaments that are run at the store. There will be a round of UFO LGS kits in the future in case you need to get an LGS kit to then qualify for product for Seance. And now that the LGS kits are out, they did tease that they're thinking about streamer kits. These streamer kits could then go to people on YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, etc. to help further promote MetaZoo. Mike has announced that he is retiring his current signature, and this signature is something that you're probably familiar with now because it is the design of the white stag's horns. It's unclear if the white stag design had influenced his signature or if his signature had influenced the design of the white stag, but what I imagine with the new signature is that it's either going to inspire a Seance card or it's inspired by a Seance card. So whatever signature he decides to go forward with, and those of you at Roswell have probably already seen it, we will most likely see this again when Seance releases. I don't have any major updates on Invasion toys, however, they did tease 2 more Invasion toys at San Diego Comic-Con. MetaZoo released a video at the end of the week that showcased the artist at San Diego Comic-Con, and they showed 2 Invasion toys in that video. They showed the Manta Ray and a better look at the Hodag. How is there a fly on the spaceship? So I don't know about you, but I'm excited to actually see these drop and understand how much these are going to cost. We got a better look at what the UFO eBay lunchbox is going to look like. We can see here the full art of the lunchbox. We have a Lashuza fighting a Sky Snake, and many other BCs are looking on, such as the Mini T-Rex, the Accordion Eater, and Mike the Headless Chicken, among others. And it was announced by Mike and then quickly stripped away that the eBay Seance partnership will be tarot cards. Speaking of Seance, we did get our first look at a Seance card this week. Here we have the Planchette, which is a light artifact that'll cost 3 aura. And the way this is laid out here, I imagine that this is what a prototype card looks like before it actually becomes a card format. When they're designing the art, they need to have something, say, in an Excel sheet to say what it is, how much aura it's going to cost, what aura it's a part of, and then have the art next to that. For those of you that don't know, a planchette is an object used on Ouija boards for spirits to communicate with the living, and this is a clear reference to the original name of the Seance set, which was Ouija. We couldn't go with Ouija because it is copywritten by Hasbro. Now there was a rather big announcement for Seance this week as well in terms of allocation. In order to get allocation, you have to be signed up on the MetaZoo Play Network and you have to be running events. With UFO, this was a requirement for partnership. Now it's a requirement for any allocation for anybody. And I think this is a really smart move from MetaZoo's standpoint. As Mike mentioned in an interview with Argos, this is a quality over quantity approach. LGSs that actively promote the advancement of the game are then rewarded by being able to have product in store. This ensures that product doesn't hit a store, the staff doesn't promote it, and it just sits on a shelf and has the appearance of not being a popular game. So while this does limit who can obtain the product, it does promote a stronger community of people that hold the product. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, okay, my LGS is never going to hold this, or I'm never going to have MetaZoo in my area because of it, there's an important thing you can do. Teach your friends how to play. Drum up interest in your area, bring that to your LGS, help them run the events, and help get them on the list for Seance allocation and beyond. This is something that you, as a community member, have the power to help change. And it was announced on Saturday that the Seance release event is going to be held in Salem, Massachusetts. Salem, Massachusetts obviously is where the famous Salem witch trials took place, so it makes sense that this would be tied to the Seance set. And in that announcement, Mike had said, if you need further evidence that towers are the way of the future, look no further than Roswell, and then announced Salem for Seance. So I think this could be a strong hint that Salem and Roswell might be tower locations in the future. Andy Morat got a huge promotion this week. He is now the Chief Product Officer of MetaZoo Games. Andy has been a huge part of many successful product releases since he joined the company, from things as small as the water bottles at the Collecticons to things as large as Sent into Space or Revive. Basically, you name the product that's happened since he joined, and he's been a part of it. In full transparency, MetaZoo released the amount of money that they pay their artists for each card, which is $380. He also mentioned that they will announce what the new payment is annually so that the community is informed on what the artists are making. And I'm going to be honest, at the end of the day, I hope that the artists get more than that. I hope they get some sort of bonus for being successful. I know Mike likes to take pride in disrupting the TCG community, so what I'd like to see in the future is that the artists get a cut of the profits from each set that they participate in. You could take something like 5% of the overall profits, split that up into the number of cards that were in the set, in this case 165, and then for each card that an artist did, pay them a portion of that profit. This would ensure that they get paid for the work that they've done, but then also get a cut of the profits from what they participated in creating. Now, many years ago, Wizards of the Coast had done royalties for its artists, and this turns out to be a huge pain, because if you want to reprint the art when you've offered royalties, you need to keep in touch with that artist, you need to know where they are, you need to pay them every single time you want to use that art. So the way that I look at it is a nice medium ground would be a profit-sharing model with the artists versus a royalty model, so that they still get a good chunk of the success, but without the maintenance on the MetaZoo side to keep in contact with those artists years after they parted ways. We got our next update at the Gamer Supps partnership. This is the promo that will come with the Bigfoot Juice energy drink. Obviously, it's a Bigfoot, and the power here is genius. After attacking, you gain a forest aura. You metaphorically gain energy from using the energy drink promo. Mike did an interview with Argos midweek last week, and it was really interesting. I'll put a link in the description below if you want to catch that. I highly recommend it. It was about 2 hours long, but there was a lot of good information in there. Of the highlights, it was announced that Japanese cards will be first available in the Yokai Island block, which makes a lot of sense because the Yokai Island block is going to be based in that area. They talked about the MetaZoo game, which is going to be a sprite-based MMO, and there was a tease for that earlier in the week that was removed as well that said that it's going to start by going through the storyline as a single-player game and then open up into an open-world multiplayer game. They talked about Casters Cup 2023 and the prize pool there, and ideas on how we get to bigger prize pools like esports in the $50 million range. This idea has a lot to do with special partnerships and then creating competitive teams in the MetaZoo player base. Casters Cup 2022 did have a few teams to it, one of which was the Casters Corner Immortal Workshop team. And the most exciting thing that Mike and Argos talked about is around towers. MetaZoo is buying physical property to then build these towers for events. And the way that the towers are going to be structured is that to qualify, you need to play at LGSs within a certain range of that tower. And they're going to promote play at the LGSs in that area. And this is an amazing concept because then you don't cause these LGSs in the area to hate the fact that the tower is there. And it further promotes MetaZoo being played at these LGSs. Now, there was no specifics given on the range or exactly how many LGSs you need to participate around the tower, but this is a really important update for what the future of MetaZoo is going to look like. And in that interview, it was likened to Pokemon gyms, which just really hits at the nostalgia factor of Pokemon and what we all wanted in Pokemon growing up, collecting it, playing it on our consoles, etc. I don't know what the future holds for towers, but I'm incredibly excited for what this could mean and how innovative this is in the TCG world. And Harley with EpicTube HD also did a wonderful interview from Roswell this week. I'll put a link to that in the description below and at the end of this channel as well. Now, obviously, one of the big things this week is that UFO released on Friday the 29th. Partners could hold release events starting on Wednesday the 27th. Most of the world had to wait until the 29th. I did go to a release event at my local game store, Next Gen Comics. I pulled the Alaskan Triangle Alien deck, and I had a blast with it. I did lose every single game, but I learned a lot, and honestly, I'm hooked. And for me, it was my first time going from collector to player. And I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. I didn't expect to win, honestly. It was my first time playing, and my first game ever was played against a fellow YouTuber, Zorax TCG. I'll put a link to his channel in the description below. You should definitely check him out. And coming from somebody who has been an avid collector and has now taken that jump into player, if you're also a collector but haven't played yet, I highly suggest you do. You start seeing the cards differently when you start playing with them. And this is something that I actually kind of first got from MetaMan. When he was opening stuff a while ago with Wilderness, as he was opening, he was talking about the cards, and not from a collectability perspective, but from a playability perspective, which is a lot different. The cards that you get excited for as a collector are much different than the cards you get excited for as a player. I was talking to one of the players at that event, and a good example of that is Wood Devil of Coos County, which is my local cryptid. From a collector's standpoint, it's not an exciting card, it's very cheap. But from a playability standpoint, it's one of the better forest cards. Now, one of the announcements for UFO this week was that it was technically printed in 2 different languages. And what I think this is actually referencing isn't a real language, but the text that's on the spellbook, and we'll get into that in the top story. There was a tease for the UFO hat in one of the announcements as well. The hat is not on the marketplace yet, nor is any of the other apparel. The mat that's in this picture is, and sells for $25. And if you haven't taken the plunge into UFO yet, or if you're highly addicted like I am, these cards are beautiful. MetaZoo is running 2 giveaways right now, one in the Discord and one in Instagram. The results are the same. You win a UFO booster box, a spellbook, a theme deck, a release deck, 1 pack of each of the UFO sleeves, and a UFO playmat. To enter on the MetaZoo Discord, all you need to do is react to the post in the announcements page, be active in the community at the time of the giveaway, and either be an MPN organizer or have an active MPN account. To win on Instagram, you need to share this post to your story, tag 3 friends who are excited for UFO, and like the post. Both contests end on August 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and to put this into perspective, you have better odds at winning this than you did the $1 billion Mega Millions. For those of you excited for Wilderness Revive, we got to look at 2 of the boards this week. It is 2 boards that we've already seen the art for, but these are the real boards being shown here, and this is the Dragon of Akanto Falls and the Awful board. And this reveal is huge because these boards have a hollow pattern on them. And this is something that was unexpectedly done with the Revive boards and has no added cost to the consumer as compared to Cryptid Nation and Nightfall. There's still no indication on what all of the boards will look like yet. We've only seen 5 of these, or if they'll all come in a hollow pattern, but we do know that we can expect to see these by the end of August. Before we continue, we do have to go over last week's trivia question, which was from Termentic, and the question was, who trained the Rainbow Wizard? And the answer to that question is M. This was probably one of the hardest questions that we've had on the channel so far, and we only had 8 people who got that correct. So the winner of this week's $15 gift card to Immortal Workshop is YFN Slowbro. And for this week, I'm not going to do a trivia question. What I want you to do is put your favorite UFO card in the comments below, and I will choose a winner from those who comment their favorite UFO card. All right, on to the top story. Let's talk about some secret rares. We finally got a look at the Sent into Space video, and this video featured the MetaZoo UFO song as well as 12 of the beasties that were sent into space. There were 120 cards total sent to space, and a roll of foil that is used to stamp the little pixelated UFO on every single booster box. Now, these 12 beasties that were sent into space, what do we know about them so far? Well, we've gotten a look at a few of them. We've seen the art for Gargantuan gliders. This was the first one that was teased. Not the card itself, but the art. We've seen two of them that were accidentally released early, the Gao and the Foo Fighters. And in the video itself, and from a picture earlier in the month, we can see that that first beastie there is the Sky Snake. So right away, the first thing that we know is that these are alternate arts of the beasties that are already in the UFO set. And then on top of that, back in April, we got this silhouette tease of 4 different beasties, all of which were sent into space. The first one there is Gargantuan gliders, and the other 3 are Gao, Greys, and LeShuza. So knowing that information, we can trait map the rest of them. And going from front to back there, what I've figured out is that we have Sky Snake, followed by Gargantuan gliders, the Black Demon, Gao. For Dark, there's actually 3 possibilities. These traits map to Casablanca entities, Carmel area creature, and Rougarou. Now I'm going to be honest here, I hope it's Rougarou because that's honestly my favorite of the 3. However, I'm leaning towards Casablanca entities because they are alien themed. The next one is a cosmic card. There's actually 2 cosmic cards that were sent to space. This one also had 3 options, but we know from that silhouette tease that this one is the Greys, Robo Flowers, Foo Fighters, Mike the Headless Chicken, UFO, LeShuza, and the Monster of Partridge Creek. Now the other thing that I've noticed from the ones that have already been teased, the Sky Snake, the Gargantuan gliders, Gao, Foo Fighters, they all have a planet or some kind of celestial body in the background. Sky Snake has the Sun, Gargantuan gliders has Saturn, Foo Fighters has Jupiter, and Gao has Mars. And I think they did a really good job at tying the aura types of some of these to the planets that are in the background. Saturn, for instance, has incredibly intense electric storms. Sky Snake, obviously a fire beastie, has the sun behind it. I don't know if this type of relationship works for every beastie to the celestial body behind it, but it's safe to say that something like the Monster of Partridge Creek probably has Pluto behind it. So what I think we're really getting here with these 12 rares that were sent to space, and I'm going to be honest, I don't think that we can call these secret rares. I don't think they've done really anything to hide these. We can easily figure out what was sent to space. And yes, I know the alternate term that we've been using is space rares. And what I think we're looking at here in terms of the lore are the defenders of the solar system. So in my opinion, these are a bit of a misdirection or distraction away from a true secret rare. And part of the confirmation from that is the announcement that UFO was technically printed in 2 languages. In Wilderness, the Spellbook was the tease of the secret rare in Wilderness, which I think is the same for UFO. If you look at the UFO Spellbook, it actually has alien writing on it, and that alien writing, I believe, is the word Spellbook, or at least the duplication of certain symbols on the Spellbook would hint at that. Something else interesting with the Spellbook is that where the vowels would be, the letters aren't as pronounced as if they were scratched out or tried to be removed. And the other interesting thing with the Spellbook too is if you look at it, it's the only product which isn't fully silver. Along the edges or some of the cracks in the Spellbook, there's some gold leaking out. So this hints that whatever's behind it might be gold related. Obviously, as of right now, that's just all speculation. There's nothing to back that up. I hope it's true, and I can't wait to find out. My guess is that if a secret rare does exist in UFO beyond the space rares, the first one's going to be pulled in roughly 2 to 4 weeks. That's about what we saw for the Green Man. As it is already, one of the Gao, number 7 of 10, was already pulled by Tabletop Village. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the 12 space rares, and if you think that there is a different secret rare within the set. And if you want to check out those interviews, you can check out the one with Argos here, or the one with Harley here. Seriously though, how the hell did a fly get in here?